Hello and welcome to another episode of SportsRoom. I'm Ruben Joe and with me here is Karthik Ravindranath. Karthik is here because as you can see on his jumper it says, I drink and I know things. So he knows things. Anyway, after months and months of waiting, Indian football is finally back. It's a little bit of a disappointment because we won't have the atmosphere. There's no fans and all that. But it's a good thing that it's finally back because we're excited about a new season which includes finally the new Calcutta clubs. And they're finally in the top division, and we're having a host of a lot of new and exciting foreigners which we'll be seeing this time, and we'll be taking you through a few talking points today. To start off with, Karthik, we've seen the first game yesterday, the Kerala Blasters versus ATK Mohun Bagan. What are your quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was a decent game. It was unfortunate that it had to be decided by a defensive mistake, but I think both teams look okay. Kerala played well. Again, they are not converting into results. Yeah. So, good game, and it is fine. Good to see Mohun Bagan colours in the ISL finally. And on a positive note for the Indian fans, Jingan was back from a long injury and he looked good. Right. So overall, I think it's a good start. I'm optimistic about the league.
Do you like how Kerala is looking now? Their style of play. And
they are playing well.
It could get better over the season.
They're playing well, but it looks like, Gary Hooper is a good striker, but it looks like he's not quite up to speed. Yeah. So they are lacking a threat up front. Right. But two defenders, if they gel, they could be good. The two foreign defenders. Right. But it's a mixed bag for Kerala.
True. So so we're talking about ATK Mohun Bagan now, and about these new Calcutta clubs that are finally coming. So what are your thoughts? They have. We've seen over years that they've been plagued with bad administration and problems like that, and now that we're hoping that we see some good quality football in the top league.
See, they're billing this as the biggest season of the ISL. Right. Most number of teams, good foreign signings. But for me, personally, the biggest news is the two Kolkata clubs coming to the ISL. Yeah. So because they belong at this level, and the ISL, I think over the years has lacked a real derby. There have been rivalries between Bangalore or Kerala or Kolkata, Goa, all those things.
Chennai, Kerala,
all those
things. And they make up stuff also.
Yeah, they make up stuff like South, the derby of the South or whatever. But they are not real derbies. Yeah. Mohun Bagan versus East Bengal is the real derby. Probably, definitely the biggest in India, probably the biggest in Asia too. Yeah. So the fact that is coming to the ISL is going to give a huge boost to the ISL. So it's great for the league, and it's great for these two clubs to be finally at this stage. Right. It's only negative is that the fans are not going to be in the stadium for their first match, which is on 27th. That is going to be phenomenal going forward. That rivalry in the ISL. Yeah. So another good thing is that both Kolkata clubs have made good signings, and for example, even though yesterday I noticed Carl McGeough, he was signed last season, but he played really well. So he's not a flair player, but he's a player with a lot of energy and a lot of physicality. Right. That he brings that to this league. And East Bengal has signed one of the most exciting signings this year, Magoma and Pilkington. Both of them play for East Bengal. Yeah. So both of the teams have good squads.
So we've seen these foreigners and a lot of them, and I think over the years we've seen this league kind of evolve from that. From heavily relying on former World Cup stars and kind of washed up players, and now I think over the last few years we're seeing them more reliable and relevant foreigners. This season particularly we have a lot of Australians and people coming from the A-League as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the ISL clubs have this season finally raided the A-League. Yeah. Almost all the clubs have a player from there, player signed from the A-League. So these leagues like the A-League and the J-League in Japan, they are both good leagues, definitely much better than the ISL. So I think this is something very obvious that clubs have been missing out on, signing players from those leagues, because players from Europe in their 20s are not going to come to, it's going to be difficult to convince them to come to India. Yeah. This time there are a couple of actually, but then the good players are not going to come here unless they are no longer fit enough to play in Europe. And maybe earlier on, the focus was on bringing in the big names because we needed to get the fans excited. But now I think the league has matured and they're looking at proper football reasons rather than the PR reasons. So I think that is great for the league.
That's true. Yeah. So we have players coming from the Australian league like Adam Lefondre, Gary Hooper, centre back James Donachi, and Christian Opseth and all of them.
Stephen Taylor, I think.
Stephen Taylor. The reason why we're seeing a lot of these A-League players coming here is because because it helps the Asian quota of all these ISL teams. They need to have at least one AFC player. which helps these Australians who are coming. And also the other thing is so apparently the A-League is going through a real big financial crisis right now, and which meant they had to cut down on a lot of salaries. There was a pay cut. I mean, there was a salary cap, and so these players are getting much better money here in India. So that's why they're moving, and we'll be seeing a lot of good. I mean, last year we obviously saw 80K striker Roy Krishna come here and play so well.
Yeah. And this time it is interesting. I noticed that Northeast United have signed a couple of good players from Europe. Idrissa Sile has come from Belgium, I think, and they signed Luis Mercado, which is a very exciting signing for me because he's 25 or 26. Right. He used to play in the Portuguese league last season. He was playing for them last season, and which is like the 6th best league in Europe. So I think those two signings are exciting. It remains to be seen what they do, but very exciting signings.
Okay. So if you were to pick a team to watch out for this season, because everybody is talking about Mumbai City FC, and I think it's really interesting the way they've built their squad, how Sergio Lobera has come and built a good squad over there with a lot of top players. They've obviously been backed by the City Football Group, but would you pick Mumbai City as your team to watch out for the season, or do you have any other?
I think they're definitely contenders because Lobera has proved himself in the ISL. He did well with Goa, and they have a good attack. They have Lefondre, who is coming off the back of 2 good seasons in the A-League. So they have a very strong attack. Defense is also, I think, okay.
Ogbeche is also there, and they also have the last year's player of the season, Hugo Bumo.
Yeah. So I think the attack is really good, but I am tempted to go with one of the Kolkata clubs just for the romance of it. I would like to see Mohun Bagan and East Bengal competing for the ISL. That would be great. And like I said, I think both have good teams. And Habas is an experienced coach, so I'm backing one of the Kolkata clubs.
Except that Habas's play is not that romantic because it's more of a pragmatic approach that he takes.
Yeah, I think we can basically Blasters are looking good, but we can never say they're going to win because they keep changing managers, keep changing players. So I'm going to go with one of the Kolkata clubs.
Okay. So if you were to ask me, I would say FC Goa is an interesting team to look out for because I'm not saying that they're going to win it or anything, but it's definitely interesting because they lost their coach, Sergio Lobera has gone, and they lost a lot of key players. Korominas has gone, Hugo Bumo has gone, Mandar Rao Desai has gone, even Ahmed Jahu has gone. So it's like they lost their entire spine of their team, and now it's going to be different under Juan Ferrand, the new coach. He's brought in a host of Spanish stars now, and he'll be relying on those youngsters. I mean, those Indian players, the Goans especially, Seriton Fernandez, Brandon Fernandez, Lenny Rodriguez, and also they've brought in Australian James Donachi, and I think experienced striker Igor Angulo also, which is definitely going to make Goa an interesting team to look out for at least. So that's FC Goa. Just before we wrap up, a few other points by this season might be a little bit different. Is first of all, each team is allowed to make 5 substitutions, and that's mostly because of they have to the fatigue factor. 115 games will have to be played in about 4 months. Do you think that'll be
and the water breaks?
The water breaks, definitely.
Those are good.
Do you think the fatigue and injury issue will be a problem over the season?
It could be, but I think these two things, the water break,
have to cramp up a lot of the
water break and the 5 substitutions are definitely a good thing. Definitely in Indian conditions is needed. But I think as things get more competitive, there are going to be injuries, so teams will need to be prepared for that.
Right.
But I think they have squads. Almost all the teams have decent squads, and it's exciting to see some good young Indian players being promoted this time. Some of the players of the Under-17 World Cup have been promoted.
True.
So I think, and actually maybe the lack of spectators might be helpful to some of the more inexperienced players. Less pressure, hopefully. So hopefully we get to see a better quality football this season. And refereeing also needs to be.
Oh, that definitely has to be better.
So hopefully they can sort that out. Again, lack of pressure, no spectators disturbing the referee or whatever. Hopefully, so this works out well, and then we can pick up from the next season when spectators are hopefully back.
So this will be the first full national tournament that is being held behind closed doors in India during the pandemic especially. We saw the IPL that was there. It was huge success in UAE. Hopefully this will also turn out to be a good tournament, and there won't be any glitches, there won't be any hitches or any problems, and they can pull this off well. All the matches will be played in Goa, by the way. And I think it could take some time for the players to get into their groove also, because they haven't played in more than 8 months right now, a competitive fixture. And also they will be in their bubble, and there'll be a lot of mental stress and everything. The first 55 matches will be there till the first week of January. Then I think the AFC matches are there, and so maybe at that time they might get to see their families, but then until then they'll be stuck in that bubble.
In the other leagues, we are seeing that like some of the lower teams are performing well because of the lack of preparation for the bigger teams. So, but in the ISL, so if teams like Mumbai struggle, we cannot really be surprised. But I think within a couple of months, normalcy will resume as far as the dominance in the league is concerned. So, looking forward to it.
So it's going to be a great season, and I think that's all we have for today. Do check out our the week. We have a special page on the ISL on our website, and all the other news we'll be coming up with. We'll have more episodes of SportsRoom where we'll be discussing these all the talking points. So thank you so much for joining us. Do check out for our other videos as well, and until next time.